This is a brief demonstration of the use of the TIBCO OpenSpirit Enterprise Search tool to help you find data, review data, and then deliver it to the chosen application or data store. This is an example of a solution that we built that utilizes some of the OpenSpirit Connect web services. And we're also exploiting an internet search engine to allow us to very quickly and easily find data. So we've built up a search index here by scanning through a number of different data store types. We've scanned Kingdom projects, some OpenWorks projects, PPDM, Petrel, Recall, SegWi, and Studio. In this example, we could also have scanned Petrel projects and other data stores that are connected via OpenSpirit. We then have the ability to display the data in a map view or in a tabular view. So in this example, let's say that we're only interested in recall data. So if I turn on recall, now we can see what type of data we want to search for. If we turn on wells, well, immediately it's going to display wells both in my map view, and I can zoom into the area where I actually have wells in North America, and it also shows me in tabular view. Now I can further restrict this by providing filters, so I can say I only want to look at wells that are deeper than a certain amount, and we'll filter out those wells that aren't deeper than that. I'm going to turn off that filter now. Or I could filter on spatial location. So let's say I want to only find data that's in this West Texas area. So it filters out the other data, and again I can zoom in here. And by the way, the map that's in the center here, that we can make it occupy the full amount of this display. We can actually devote the whole display to it if we want. Or we can go back to the case where we split the screen between the map and the table view, is a Esri web map service, and could be either internally hosted, or in this case I'm accessing the publicly available ArcGIS Online base map services. But it could be your own proprietary layers displayed here. Then selecting items in the map implies selection in the table. Similarly, if I sort data in the table, let's let's unselect. As I select wells here, you see them highlighted in the map as well. So you can use whichever selection mechanism is most natural, either the spatial selection or the attribute-based selection. But really what we're trying to find here are some logs in recall. So this is the area of interest. We can see the wells located here, but really want to also turn on looking for logs. So now we're showing the logs, and we could either filter by log type. So we can see here there's a large list of different log types, but that's fairly tedious in the case we might want to do an aliasing. So I'm going to use the text search capability. So that's further constrain our spatial search just to be the northern half of this cluster of wells. And let's say we want to look for logs of certain types. So I'll look for all my SP related logs. So I'll put in SP star. Or I want to also look for induction log, IL star, and also maybe I want to look for gamma ray, GR star. I hit return, and now we see we found out of 40,000 well logs, 40 of them are of the types we're interested in that are in the location we're interested in. So now if I want to delve in a little bit deeper and actually look at these logs, I can go ahead and let's say select an SP curve here, and we will bring up a viewer. We have the capability of viewing well, seismic, and interpretation data. So I'll bring up my viewer, and let's add a log track here. Now let's reposition these things so we have a little bit more visible room here. Let's say I now want to drag that log curve into this log track here. So now I'm looking at data. In this case, we can see that that well log curve is coming from a particular well that's coming from a recall database, a recall project. And I can see the logs for that particular well. I can drag other logs onto this as well. It looks like I have another SP curve that's related. Let's see what that one looks like by comparison to the other one. And it looks quite different. We can actually do a cross plot between those two. Because we have two curves here, we can easily go ahead and select one curve, then the other curve, and attempt to do a cross plot. And there's a cross plot between these two curves. So there looks like they're quite different curves. Perhaps one is I'm not a porosity of some sort. I'm not familiar with SV as an acronym. It looks like that's some sort of porosity. Perhaps it's derived from SP. I'm not sure. But in any case, we can view any of the logs coming from any of the data sources we're connected to. In this case, we're looking at recall. We also, if we had any markers in here, we could be looking at markers coming displayed on top of these. Now, in addition to being able to preview it in this web viewer, because this just requires a web viewer on the desktop, if I had other OpenSpirit enabled applications on the desktop like Petrel, which I do happen to have running here, I have Petrel running in the background here, I could say, well, I want to go ahead and transfer all these well logs, because they're the types I'm interested in and the area I'm interested in, to Petrel. So I'll go ahead and select all these. Now I can just drag these inside of the Petrel window, and it will cause the OpenSpirit adapter in Petrel to go off and retrieve all those well logs and also the parent wells. So it's taking a few seconds here, and it's now created a folder and it put all those wells in there, and it's also brought in the well logs, the SP, IL, gamma ray that I was interested in. All that data is now available inside Petrel. And OpenSpirit did the required coordinate transformation when it brought in the well headers and directional survey, and it recognized the units of the well log curves and put them into a form that Petrel understands. So you can see this is a very powerful way of allowing you to browse data coming from any of the sources that can be displayed inside of this web interface, allowing you to use a combination of spatial selection and attribute selection to be able to quickly narrow down to the data of interest, view it inside the HTML viewers, and then when you decide you want it, you can interactively send it to Petrel. We also have another mechanism of delivering data here. This mechanism counted on the application running, in this case Petrel, but maybe you wanted to deliver it to another data store. Maybe you want to transfer these recall logs to a geoframe project or to a studio repository. So you can take advantage of the shopping cart data delivery mechanism. So I'm going to take these same 40 logs and add them to my shopping cart, and it brings up a shopping cart. And if I had other data types such as pics, etc., that would add additional tabs to my shopping cart, then when I'm all set, I can go ahead and check out. And the way I check out is by providing some information like my name, my email address, because it will send me a notification email when it's delivered the data. I get to select where I want to deliver it to. And here I have access to loading it to any of the data stores that OpenSpirit can connect to, including delivering it to a Petrel project. Let's say I want to deliver this to a studio repository. So let's say click Studio, and I've got a couple of different studio repositories. So now if I went ahead and submitted this request, it will run a background job to transfer these requested well logs to that studio repository, and when done would send me an email confirming that it had accomplished that task. So that's a one-off data delivery of data being delivered in the background to some destination project or data store. Another way of delivering data is via what we call a subscription service. So here we have the newspaper that symbolizes that subscription. So instead of just doing a one-off delivery of these selected curves, if I do a data subscription, again, it's going to ask me some information like who I am, my email address for confirming email, and ask me where do I want to deliver it. And again, let's say I want to deliver it to that studio copy repository. Now it's going to allow me to make this be a recurring delivery. So just like a newspaper delivery, I can take daily delivery, or maybe I want to take delivery every week, and I indicate what time I want it to be delivered, or maybe I want to take it every hour. And what we will do is what we've captured here is a selection criteria. So instead of that manual selection of those log curves, it's going to run, if I leave it like this, every hour, a query to find any SP, IL, or GR curves that are of type well log coming from my recall data repository within a certain bounding box where the surface location of the wells within this geometry. This basically was my selection criteria. And if I go ahead and submit that, it will then activate that subscription and run a background tasks that will keep this underlying data store, in this case my studio copy repository, up to date with the changing contents of, in this case, a recall repository. So again, you can see that we have a lot of flexibility on how we deliver this technology. You can also configure whether you want these options turned on or not. So this again is just a brief demonstration of the type of capabilities that are enabled by using some of the OpenSpirit Connect web services with this particular web front end. Of course, you can use as a starting point your own existing web map and just add on to it the calls to the OpenSpirit web services.